And Nick, do you feel, I get the impression that gambling is sort of becoming a dirty topic, even though horse racing is largely funded and revolves around it. Do you get that impression that it is?
It's a very good question. I think 2 or 3 years ago, I was interviewed on the radio about this, and I said I worried that in this neo-puritanical age, which we now appear to be entering into, that gambling was just going to get a bad rap from now on in, and therefore it behoved all the gambling companies to behave in a way that meant that they were beyond reproach, because government potentially of a different colour, was going to start squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, because there was an appetite to not to remove gambling as a leisure pastime, but to significantly clamp down on it and to regulate it harder, because people were understandably concerned about the possible socially detrimental effects of it. So it was necessary for the gambling companies to behave beyond reproach, and it was also necessary for horse racing as an industry to support the betting industry and form partnerships with the betting industry to make sure betting wasn't seen in that way, not to step back from it and say, there's your betting, we're the racing, we can just go and promote without betting. The minute you say racing can exist without betting, you're going down an extremely dangerous road, in my opinion. The short answer to your question is yes, it is a concern.
Do you think that racing has, or racing broadcasting, not necessarily you, really should be sort of showing that having a Saturday Yankee isn't a dirty thing, and that the people that generally tune in to, you may disagree, but tune into early morning racing programs or whatever, are predominantly interested in gambling? There's probably people that love horses and just want to, but to shy away from the fact that most people want to be tipped a winner or, you know.
I've never understood really why the two things have to be mutually exclusive. I want to make television that's as engaging and interesting and stimulating as possible. You want to see new technologies, you want to see innovation, you want it to be as sparky and as fun as possible. But I don't see why you can't do that and acknowledge the fact that this is a sport that is built on somebody having a bet.
Yeah, because you've had...
literally built on somebody having a bet.
Exactly. You've had Neil Channing on there, obviously, so you've not shied away from professional punters, etc. Do you sort of do research on the sort of guests that you have that gain the most sort of interest, like on social media, that sort of thing? Does that bear into what you...
What, on Luck on Sunday?
Yeah. Does that bear into how you choose your next lot?
No, I don't think it does really. I realise now that social media drives mainstream media policy, or it drives television executives' policy to a certain extent. You know, they will sort of do that, figure out which way the wind's blowing, and then load up their show, whatever it is, whether it's sport or light entertainment or whatever, with something they perceive will go down well in the echo chamber of Twitter or wherever. But no, I think the luxury of the Sunday programme is that we've sort of been able to do what we want and have who we want on, just because we think they will actually be interesting to people, and the more novel they are, the better. If they then get a great reaction on social media, then brilliant, we'll have them on again.
So you've got a good insight into how things work other places. You're working over in America with NBC. Now, how does horse racing in America compare to the UK, as in the public sort of perception of it and knowledge of it, and just a sort of awareness of it?
It's significantly behind the UK in that regard, insofar as it's less close to the zeitgeist, if you like, than it is here. The country's huge, the jurisdictions are thousands of miles apart, the competition for the sporting market has not eclipsed it completely, but has rendered it significantly less popular than it was in the glory days of the 60s and 70s in America, when it was really a huge sport and hundreds of thousands of people would attend all the time. Maybe some of the points that you've touched on, maybe the attitude towards gambling, maybe the perception of gamblers has changed. Will the deregulation of sports betting, or the partial deregulation of sports betting and the enabling of sports books, turn that round in racing's favour? Or will being able to bet on other sports in more states than just Nevada actually encroach on racing's territory? I sincerely hope it's the former. From a TV point of view, the landscape's looking a bit rosier, I think, in America, partly because John Miller at NBC and the production team there, Rob Hyland and his team, are pretty passionate about horse racing and have committed to events that other American networks haven't even considered. And Royal Ascot obviously is one massive example of that. And there could be more British racing being beamed into American households next year. I mean, to have the final morning of Royal Ascot beamed into every American household on the major NBC network, straight off the back of the main network breakfast program, is an unusual but pretty big deal.
It's quite surprising that that's not already happened, really, isn't it? Because Americans appear to be sort of quite big fans of quaint little England and our funny ways.
Yeah, I know, but if you, it's a hard. I mean, on the face of it, it's a hard sell to a commissioner, isn't it? Can you take a minor sport, niche sport like racing, and can you take an event not even just from here, but by the way from overseas, and can you stick it on your major network when you've got X many auxiliary networks? Can you stick it on your major network? Oh, and by the way, can you put it on for 4 hours? And I know it's 9 till 1 on a Saturday morning, and there might not be that much competition for airtime at that point, but 4 hours on a major network of somebody else's sport in another country is as I say, it's a pretty unusual but very great thing if you happen to be standing in my shoes anyway. So
are your shoes going to be NBC or RUK? RUK's not there, is it?
What's that?
Royal Ascot.
I'll have a shoe of each, but no, RUK won't be there next year anyway, so that makes that one fairly straightforward. But no, I mean, Racing UK have been very good to me in terms of allowing me to take other work where I need to, and it's all dovetailed in quite nicely.
So how does your working environment differ in the US working for racing as opposed to the UK? Would you ever be tempted to relocate?
Oh, I've thought about it umpteen times. It's part of me thinks that it's something maybe I ought to do one day, and it's an itch I need to scratch, but by the same token I haven't got forever to think about it. I don't know is the honest question, but yes, I have thought about it. And obviously I thought about it quite a bit when the Channel 4 contract was coming to an end. But events, Simon, take over, don't they? So, before you know it, another year's gone by, and you've done another job here and another job there, and you've had another child along the way or whatever. So, it just, for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. But I do enjoy the time I spend there a lot. I've got a lot of good friends, and I've been extremely well looked after. So, no, it's been a lot of fun. How does the working environment differ? I think program preparation there is a little more precise and a little more intense than it is here. Just comparing network TV here and network TV there.
You mentioned events, which leads me nicely on to you're the BBC equestrian commentator. Now, that's included Badminton Horse Trials, Burghley Horse Trials, Olympia Horse Show. Was this a side of the horse business that you've always been interested in, or did it take you out of your comfort zone?
A bit of both, I suppose. Insofar as, I grew up riding badly. I was really not very good. I had very limited talent, but I did ride nearly every day when I was at home anyway, in the school holidays, from when I was tiny until I was about 20. So I had a bit of knowledge of eventing and show jumping, and I'd grown up in that sort of environment, really, as much as a racing environment, probably more that environment. So it wasn't alien to me by any stretch of the imagination. That said, I'd be lying if I said I'd followed much equestrianism in the 20 years between times. So I had to learn a bit and learn quite fast. But no, the concepts weren't alien to me, but the context was perhaps.
Okay, now you're a family man, so you've got 3 children.
Yeah.
You do these sort of overseas jobs, lengthy sort of stints away. How difficult for you is it emotionally to take lengthy overseas jobs, bearing in mind you've got a family, etc.?
Well, I suppose it helps that I've been married for 11 years and I've lived with my wife for 17 years. So she's been quite used to the itinerant lifestyle that I had anyway. So it's not as though it was a massive culture shock, and there's always been periods away, and even if you're doing a week at York, for example, and it's no different essentially to a week in the US, but the trips have got a bit longer and a bit more regular. And so I've been doing quite a bit in the Middle East between December and the end of March as well. So yeah, there's been a lot going on. And it all depends on what's going on at home as well. Obviously, it's been more difficult this year because we've had another baby. So, yeah, you need a fair amount of understanding, which luckily I have from Laura. So, it works. It's not always easy. And certainly, if you're away, so if I'm away and there's a bit of downtime, I sort of think, come on, I need to be doing something now because I shouldn't really be here and not doing something meaningful.
Yeah, you mentioned online that your youngest has been diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and you wanted to sort of raise awareness. Is that something that you think you'll be getting more involved in because now you've got a personal attachment with it? Is it?
I hope so. I mean, I'd like to do what I can. I've been wary of sort of diving headfirst into the charitable side of it, because I think we need a bit of time and space to sort of get our heads around exactly what we need to do for Xanthi and to understand her needs and to incorporate them into what the other girls need and want. So we don't. I realise that we need a little bit of time just to get accustomed to the situation and so forth. But I've already been in touch with the CF Trust, who do a brilliant job, and written to my MP Vince Cable, who's raised matters in Parliament, which is good. Matt Hancock's now the Health Secretary, which should be good if I manage to collar him on a racecourse somewhere. It's amazing how quickly you become engaged in some of the issues pertaining to it when you've got a child who's compromised by it. It's obviously been a big change in our lives this year. But whilst I don't want to be gung ho about it, because I understand the severity of it, you've also got to make sure, and all our brilliant clinicians at the Royal Brompton Hospital, where we're going with her, tell us this: you've got to be conscious of the fact you want to make life as normal as possible for her, and most importantly as well, as normal as possible for your other children. So we do what we're told, we do what we've got to do, we try and give her the best treatment we can, and enjoy life as much as we can at the same time to create the best environment.